Kevin!
Hooray!
What's up, man?
Back again.
Yep. It's been a while. It's been a while since you and I have talked. I had Nick on that one week, and then it's suddenly Jason last week. Just it's like, hey, man, you want to do the show? He's like, yeah, all right, whatever. So we did that. And
wow, cool.
Yeah, now we're back again. How have you been doing, sir?
Good, man. It's I've had a lot of events happen. I'm now writing for this new magazine. I'm writing for a video game. It's all happened very quickly.
Holy shit!
Do it. See what happens when I don't do the radio show. Other things in life actually take place.
All right. Well, what do you want to go over first? Welcome everybody to Rage Select. This is the podcast. I'm Jeff. This is Kevin. All right, Kevin. What do you want? Tell me about the video game that you're writing for. I want to know about that. Can you say anything? Are you under strict NDAs?
No, I mean, I don't know. No, I'm not under any NDAs at the moment. But the game is called St. Christopher School Lockdown.
So you're going to tell us how it ends?
I don't know how it ends, so maybe that's why I don't have to sign any NDAs. They're not revealing everything to me all at once. It's in pieces. I'm doing some writing, not as in game development, as in actual physical writing. And
like with a pen and shit, like on paper.
Well, yeah. I got to, with like calligraphy and ink bottles.
Ugh, God, fuck caveman bullshit.
Yeah, I scribble it out, and then they just tear it up and say, "Do it again."
But wait, are you
classroom-graffiti.com if you want to check it out. You can also pre-order it, and there's a bunch of like rewards and stuff depending on what you want to do. It's like one of those Kickstarter things. Although it's already funded, so it's not like something it's waiting for funding. But if you want to get in on it, and I've actually got some dialogue in the game that's actually from me in the game too.
Okay, what's it about?
If you're a fan of Kevin, you can check it out. Well, it's about basically a school riot that goes on, and the school's under lockdown.
Okay,
but there's like this whole I don't want to call it like a mystery, but there's like this event that takes place that's sort of like a side story to it that you have to involve yourself in. It's actually put together by this lady, Lainey Berry. Say lady. Girl, I don't know what you want to, what's the proper term? Project manager. Yeah, woman. And so she's driving it. She's the artist or one of the artists. I'm not sure how big the team actually is. There's actually a woman who's actually programming the whole thing as well. So girl power. It's out there for you.
All right.
And
so
I'm not a girl.
Are you the?
But
are you the primary? Are you the primary? I mean, like, are you penning the actual narrative of this game, or are you doing like punch up, or I mean, what kind of writing are you? Are you like?
So I'm not. No. It's all Lainey's story, and I believe there's other writers on the team. It's mostly about what elements she needs, and then she'll send me something, and she'll say, this letter is going to be sent from this girl's boyfriend, and it's got to contain like this information. Write the letter. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I throw the letter together for her, then she frowns and tosses it out and says, "Never mind, I'll do it myself." No, but that's basically how it goes. And so, and since it's actually, the game is actually 7 parts.
Wow.
So the first part is, currently in process. So it's probably going to be an extensive amount of work for everybody involved. So there'll probably be a lot of me in there. And whoever else is, I mean, I've talked to the other team members, but don't ask me to remember people's names. I just know who I have to answer to.
I love the idea of having a high school mystery with you doing the voice of some kid, as they've got like 6 different voice actors, and it's like, "Hey Jimmy, where do you want to go today?" Hello.
Well, I think it's college. I think it's college. I'm not sure, but no, I get what you're saying. Hello.
And Stan. If the CW has taught us anything, it's that 30-year-old men can be college kids. It's just there's a certain stretchable, plausible deniability. Like once you get into college, where it's just like, what is it, Abe Vigoda? Yeah, he could pass college. It's fine. No, he's 25. It's fine. It's 25. Just put some makeup on him. It'll be great.
Yeah. So. And then the other thing I got working on is this new magazine. It's currently on Kickstarter looking for funding. It's about a quarter of the way there, and it's only been up for less than a week. But the magazine's called Retro. So if you're interested, go to Kickstarter.com and then do a search on Retro, R-E-T-R-O. Just sorry that I'm pitching all my stuff, but
that's all right.
This would actually help because it would help fund the magazine. The bunch of writers involved in it, like a whole fleet of the original, like EGM, Game Fan, Sean Baby's writing for it. The huge roster of really great writers, and it's going to be a physical magazine. Comes out every other month, and it's just a collection of all of the great writers from the past that were in print that are. Don't ask me why I'm involved in it. That are going to be, writing for this mag. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
And it's called Retro, but it actually is not a magazine about retro gaming. It's a bad name because if you see it, you immediately think this is going to be for like Atari 2600 or some shit. But it's not. It's for,
is it? I mean, is it going to be primarily? Is it going to be like reviews and stuff, or?
Yeah. There's the guys that are driving it right now are primarily concerned on getting the word out, and they have a whole the one guy that does like layout and this sort of thing for like movie companies. So like he's really good at what he does, and you can see his little video that he has up on the Kickstarter. It's really well done. And the other guy, I think he owns or operates some sort of one of these game sales websites or something. I don't know. So there's some force behind it, and they've got some partnerships with like Play and Trade and some other stuff. So it's looking pretty good. It looks like it's definitely going to get funded, but the more people that get involved in it, the better. It's hey, look, I'm not just going to. I actually subscribe to magazines. I don't subscribe to any gaming magazines, but when I'm on the can, I like to read a magazine. I just like to say, having an iPad and everything is cool, but there's something about having that magazine that I can flip through rather than, trying to pinch and zoom and stuff. I don't want to see my reflection in the tablet while I'm taking a dump. You know what I mean? So
actually, I was just thinking about that because I've been using my Kindle a lot recently as I finished a book, and then I just started reading World War Z, and that book right there is like the perfect bathroom book. Have you ever read it?
Oh yeah. No, I've never read it. No.
It's cool because it's framed as this collection of interviews with people, and each interview is like 2 or 3 pages long, so you can just pull it out and just like done. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I see.
It's like the bathroom reader for zombies.
I see your. I looked at the retro Kickstarter page, and there's Kevin Baird looking.
That's it. Looking all bitter. That's my bitter. I gave him 4 pictures to use, and they chose my bitter one. I look all old and depleted.
Did you have one that was like? All right. Summer fun.
I had one that were like all bug-eyed, like Rodney Dangerfield, and then I got some just normal headshot ones. But I don't know, they wanted to go with the angry one. It's fine.
You look like you could be firing.
Somebody's got to look better.
It looks like you're looking at somebody in a boardroom, and you're just like, that. Oh, I'm gonna fucking that guy. He's gone by the end of the day. He took the last Pop-Tart. Fuck that asshole, man. It should be pretty cool. It's pretty freeform, but I don't know. You ask me in 2 months, I might come back and be like, I hate it. They're constantly yelling at me. I just don't know why I got involved in this. But no, I don't know. Really nice guys, and I think it'll be really cool. There's a lot of people that actually want to get involved in it, like writers. And at this point, they're actually saying, look, we got too many people that want to write for this thing. So turning away some pretty talented people. So I think
there's like the guy that like invented in television or something on there. I don't know
what.
Crazy.
I think that
it's like one of the original guys. Yeah,
I think the last gaming magazine that I ever had was probably Game Informer, because they you go in and they're like, here's 12 months ago. It's been a long time since I've been subscribed to a magazine, but I don't know if they still do this. But it seems like if you subscribe to something and then your subscription runs out, they just keep sending it to you for at least a year. At least a year.
Yeah, they'll send you they'll send you Maxim or something instead. You're like, what? How do I get this? That's what happened at my work. We used to get PC Magazine, and then I don't know. We had some infinite subscription to PC Magazine. So when that stopped, we just started getting Maxim at the office, which makes no sense. I feel bad for the girls that work there. They're like, a bunch of guys.
You just stepping down the magazine disgusting hierarchy. You're like, and then we subscribed to Maxim and we let that go. They just start sending us Hustler, and then once that ran out, then it just
we didn't subscribe to it. They just replaced it. They were like, we're not making PC Magazine anymore, so now you get Maxim, which is totally not appropriate.
Yeah,
but whatever.
We're not. Nintendo Power is coming to an end. We're just going to send you 18 months worth of jugs instead.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Right? Exactly. So stupid.
Well, that's great. So
what have you been doing, man?
Yeah. I mean, mostly just stuff on the website. This is gonna be a little late this week, and I'll apologize to people. I messed my back up this weekend, and as I'm sure you know, like back injury just terrible. It's
I definitely know it's the worst.
Yeah, you try to move, and it's just like it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. I need to cough. It took me like 45 minutes to build up to an actual cough, and then when I did cough, it was just like lightning inside of my ribcage, burning me alive. So I spent a good 3 or 4 days on the couch, just coalescing, and I don't know. Just yesterday, I kind of got back into doing stuff, and that's why this stuff is this could probably be running a little bit later this week. So I apologize, everybody. I did some dumb shit. I was at a bar. Bane was there. I was like, "Your mother's a whore," and then he did that thing.
Were you like, I'm really tough. Watch me lift this keg over my head or something, and that's how you strained your back? Or were you like, you don't need a car jack to change your tire. Hold on, and you just lifted the back end of the car up or something? Is that what happened? My PlayStation 3 was caught under a car, and you have those stories about the women who gained fantastic amount of strength, and I just tried to lift my car up, and it was shit. Yeah, no, it was some dumb stuff. It was dumb stuff when I was drunk, and that was about it. But yeah, I just ended up waking up the next day just going and then hey, can you bring me some food because I can't really move. But yeah, I don't know. It's better now than. I think that by the end of the week, I should be just entirely ready to jump back into the saddle and get right back out there and do something else stupid to injure myself in a different way. But yeah, back injury, just ugh. And I couldn't. The problem I had is I couldn't even play video games, Kevin. Like, when I play video games, I tend to just, without even realizing that I'm doing it, end up like hunched over, leaning towards the television. And so I could do it, and while I was playing a game, I didn't even realize it was happening, and then as soon as I got done, it was just like, I colossally jacked up the things that were still healing, so I have to read my Kindle and watch all the terrible shit on Netflix. I watched A Haunted House on Netflix this weekend. Wow.
Yeah. It was desperate. I was desperate for something to watch. I was just like, whatever.
Of all the things, man.
I don't have cable, so it's not like I could sit there and watch that. I don't know that it was dumb as shit, but I kind of knew that when I went into it. When I hit the play button, I wasn't expecting fucking Lawrence of Arabia. It was like, oh man, I watched Haunted House this week. It really broadened my horizons to see all of humanity in a different way now. No, it wasn't even going to be that. So, but enough of this. I tell you what. Why don't we? Oh no, wait. You know what? I want to ask you one more thing before we jump into the news real fast.
Absolutely.
So yesterday I was online. I was reading some news stories. This came up in my Facebook feed. One of my friends had posted it there. Have you seen? Apparently, there's kind of a little cottage industry on YouTube of people who go into Xbox Live Minecraft games with like 6-year-olds, right? And then they will fuck up that 6-year-old stuff. No, I mean like they're basically they're trolling 6-year-olds. They will go in there and they'll push them into lava or they'll take their stuff or whatever. And then invariably the 6-year-old has their.
Though? How do they know that?
Because they have the headset on.
Oh.
And so you've got this like 6-year-old just screeching, just fucking give it back into the headset for like 10 minutes. This one guy who has a whole channel full of like finding kids. He had one where he set up all of these bombs on this kid's house, and he kept telling him like, "Hey, I'm making some improvements to your house. Don't come here. I want to finish them first." And then like he blew up the kid's entire house, and he was like, "Oh, I'm having a problem. Can you quit real fast and then restart so that the game would save the fact that he blew up the kid's house?" And then the kid came back and was just like, "It's all gone. It's all." And it's funny because Kotaku ran this story, and it was framed as just like, look at these monsters, these monstrous assholes. But you know what, Kevin? I don't like children. And have you ever met a 6-year-old before? They're pretty much the worst human beings on the entire planet. Like,
it's true.
They just want. They just want and they want and they want. And I couldn't help but watch this stuff and just go, yeah, I don't care. That kid, I think that this is kind of funny personally. And I don't know, that just makes me an incredibly terrible individual, but I watched a few of these things. One of them had 6 million hits on YouTube, and it was monetized.
Wow. I got to go look that stuff up. Yeah, but I mean, that is an interesting question, though. Is that legal? Like, is that illegal? Is that like harassment?
No.
I don't know. I don't even know. Like, not because they're kids, though, and you're an adult. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, technically speaking, I know that Facebook has some stuff, but does the Xbox Live Terms of Service even say, like, you have to be X age in order to come onto Xbox Live?
You might be right. It might say that, yeah.
Let's see, age required.
Might be at least 13, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, nobody does that. You know, like, you have to be 18 or something to be on Facebook or something.
Your voice does not sound masculine enough. We are now disconnected.
That's right. I just have one person with okay, so it doesn't matter the game. You have to be at least 13 if you want a free month, 19, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. And there's also the idea of, like, if you're concerned with people dicking up your Minecraft game, you make it private and you only invite your friends in. Don't let random people on the internet into your game. And of course, once again, the other side of this argument is 6-year-olds are fucking stupid. So whatever, you could run game on them or whatever. But I don't know. If I had a kid and they want to play Minecraft, I'd just be like, okay, Jimmy, always make it private and only bring your friends in.
I'm just going to watch the news, and the next kid that goes postal in his school, man, and he starts blaming it on some guy who blew up his Minecraft house. I'm going to know what's going on. I'm going to know.
Oh God, that would be finally the last nail that we needed in the coffin of violent video game. I mean, like, it's fucking Minecraft. It's not like Minecraft turns children into murderers, murder fiends. I don't know. I watched it, and like the some of the YouTube commenters and some of the way that it was presented as I use quote fingers here, news story, was like, they're terrible human beings. And I'm just like, man, everybody's a terrible human being on the internet, all right? Nobody's decent and kind on the internet, Kevin. I'm not, you're not, nobody is. It's, if you don't have the real life fear of being punched in the face by the person that you're saying that thing to, you're going to be a dick. Like, that's just the way it goes. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, the internet's full of, it's a hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah.
So, people are going to do all kinds of bad things. Just get over it. I don't know. Whatever. You got to write that article there so they sound all PC and girls like them or whatever they wrote it for. But at the end of the day, you're completely right. 6-year-olds are bastards.
Plus, it's Minecraft. Half the time when I get anything done in Minecraft, I just delete it all and start over again because half the fun is in kind of making this stuff and putting it together. And I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the news. I've got a little bit of news here, and we might skip over a few of these things because some of them are, it's kind of a slow news week all told. But the first one is, have you and I talked yet about the Steambox stuff that came out? Did that happen in the last couple of weeks?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it may have been while we were, but no, we didn't talk about it. Okay,
well, there was a story that came out that Valve unveiled some of the Steambox prototype specs. So let's see, GPUs, and they're a variety of different units. So GPU, some units with NVIDIA Titan, some with the GTX 780, some with the GTX 760, and some with the GTX 660. CPUs, some boxes with an i7 4770, some with an i5 4570, and some with an i3. RAM, 16 gigs. CPU, 3 gigs. GPU. Yeah, terabyte. 1 terabyte of storage / 8 gigabyte solid state hard drive, power supply, and then the dimensions or whatever. So I don't know. It's funny.
How much is that freaking thing gonna cost?
I have no idea. But I just bought a brand new system that was an i5 with a 770 and a terabyte hard drive. And, it would have been cheaper if I put it together myself, obviously. But this thing was like $1,000. So I don't know if they can really how much they can get away with. I mean, I guess they're not, but the thing that I bought didn't have a monitor. I mean, yeah, there's kind of some limits as to how cheap that could be. I mean, maybe if you take the bottom specs.
I've determined that Steambox is going to fail.
You think so?
Because it seems like a good idea. It seems like you're going to have it and you can play your PC games in front of your TV. But the reality is that the people that play Steam already have a machine that they play Steam on. And they're not really going to want to buy you're not going to want to drop that kind of money for a new machine. I mean, you're just not going to want to do it. Plus, have you seen the gamepad they're offering with that thing, with the touch pads on it? Oh, I totally don't want to use that thing.
I see. The thing is, I want to get my hands on it. I can't.
Well,
that thing
true.
is so freaking alien. Like, who knows? It could feel fantastic. It could just be like, oh, I got used to it. This is the best gamepad I've ever had in my hands in my entire life. But I can't even imagine what it's like. I don't know.
It's not going to be good. I mean, I can't see the sensitivity being. I mean, like, it could totally track your fingers and everything and make a first-person shooter work, But look, let's say it does do that, which is obviously what they've sort of designed it to replace. What happens if if you're playing a game that actually uses control sticks? They're not there. You got to use that crazy pad still. And to me, that's just, forget it. I don't know. I just think they're nuts. It's okay. It's all right. I mean, they'll sell some, like everybody. They'll sell a few, but, they're not going to be able to, charge some sort of a premium on the games in order to make the money back for the hardware. So they're going to have to sell it at a profit, which is really going to make it so the price is going to be like $1,000. And I just don't see it. I don't see anybody dropping that kind of money for a system that they already got, or an isolated system. Because why would you, like you bought a nice PC and everything, and you could do other things on it other than play Steam games.
Right.
And I just don't see it. We could all, even you could probably, I bet your graphics card has HDMI out. You could go stick it and connect it to your TV right now if you wanted to and play games on it.
That's how we record all of the PC games that we play is HDMI out to the capture box. So
there you go. So I don't know. My personal opinion is it's going to be a failure. It may be cool, but I think it's going to be a commercial failure.
I don't know. If you look at this and you say the bottom specs here, GTX 660, some i3 Intel processor, that seems like it's non-negotiable. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say that they're going to have to at least have the bottom line spec box for this be in line with at least like the Xbox One, right? I mean, if they are actually planning on trying to foray into that territory, they're going to have to make it at least. I mean, I guess maybe the maximum for the lowest configuration would be $600, because I've also seen articles where they say they're also going to be upgradable. Like, you're going to be able to open the box up and put more RAM in, put a different video card in, blah 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 blah. So you're basically just buying a PC that's running. Yeah. That's running the Steam OS and
the Steam OS, Linux, basically on top of it's on top of Linux from what I understand, and so you're only going to be able to play certain Steam games as well. You're not going to be able to play Windows games, so that you're going to totally lose a huge. Don't be fooled, you lose a huge chunk of games because a big number of them are not on Linux, and so I mean it's just again. Who's it for? It's maybe for the people that work at Valve that want to sit at home and because they get one for free or something. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just going to be whether the question I think that'll make everybody's decision about this is going to be, one, what's the price point, and two, what does the AAA title compatibility for SteamOS look like? Because SteamOS apparently is going to be free, so I could just fucking dual boot my PC to SteamOS if I really wanted to do that. And I'm curious. May be a success, and that may be a success for them. I mean, that may work, but
yeah.
I don't know.
As a full package, I don't know. There was another story that I read today of which I didn't put on the actual list, of Sony is releasing one of their VR headsets, the new edition of their goggles, kind of Oculus Rifty type things, and that it's they're looking to charge $999 for the base unit, and I'm just like, who is that for? who the fuck? And it's like, it doesn't even have, I mean, it's not like the Oculus Rift where it has all this stuff built in. Like, it basically just creates a virtual screen that you can play games on that just, I don't know if it does any head tracking, but the article that I read didn't seem to indicate as much. It was just like, I don't know, some of this stuff. I mean, like, I love me some Steam. Kevin, I love Steam.
Right. Absolutely.
I buy all kinds of crazy shit on Steam all the time. I had to get a review copy, or I wanted to get a review copy of that Shadow Warrior game that came out, and I sent Devolver Digital an email, and I was just like, hey, we'd like to play this on our show. Can I get a Steam code? They were like, bam. Activate in Steam, bam. Download and install, boom. Like, all good to go. Super easy. Like, this shit is the future. But I just don't know. I don't know. I want one of these things.
I think Sony still struggles with their. They've always said when they were doing all these management shuffles that the biggest problem over there in Japan and with their whole management style is that every division inside Sony is like an island unto itself. And so somebody may have said, hey, this is a great idea. We can make this for video games. But the other divisions that, are part of the video game universe are like, well, we're not doing anything for that. You know what I mean? There's not like a central head that's basically trying to synergize the different avenues, and that's why you have all the problems that you have with Sony. But I don't know. I'm not buying it. That
makes a lot of sense. I mean, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. I'd never heard that about Sony before, but that makes a lot of sense when you consider that, like when you look at a company like Apple, and when you buy into like the Apple infrastructure environment. When you have all that stuff, it all talks to each other just really smoothly and seamlessly. Whereas Sony devices kind of give less of a fuck about each other. Like, I have Sony TVs plugged into Sony PlayStations, plugged into Sony receivers, and all three of them have to be set up separately. It's not going to just be like, hey, just do it, PlayStation, just do it all for me. And PlayStation would be like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, it's true. They lack that sort of synergy. I mean, even in the things that they try to bring together, like the movie side of PSN, where there's movies on one side and games on the other, if you get the PlayStation Plus, it's not like you're getting a whole bunch of free movies or discounts on movies. They're just kind of like, they just attach the movies to it.
Yeah.
It's, they just don't seem to have, I don't know. It's just a different way of thinking over there or something. They just don't connect things together. It's odd. Microsoft had that problem for years too, though. They've worked on it with Xbox, but there's still many, they still have many challenges as well. So I'm not saying they're any better at this. But you're right, Apple has a much better ecosystem. They just seem to know that everything should work with everything.
Well, speaking of things not connecting, apparently the developers of SimCity are considering putting in an offline mode for the new SimCity game. Did you play this, Kevin? Did you play SimCity?
No, I do remember all of the
hoopla.
The rubbish talk. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
But they had said when it came out, well, there's no way to run this offline. We have too many calculations for weather systems and dynamic crowd movements happening in the cloud. There's no way that you can disconnect this thing from the internet and still have it work. And then, of course, a week later, somebody dug into the source code, wrote some hack mod that took it offline, and it was like, hey, look, it runs just fine. So.
Yeah, but it's probably now like a cost analysis. Somebody probably went into their server room and was like, what are all these servers? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's doing the weather for SimCity, boss. It's like, no, we're going to shut these down. Fix it, so they can shut those things off, because now it's just a mess probably. Because, I mean, why would they bother changing it now otherwise? It's over for that game, really. It's just going to go into budget bins and $10, jewel cases on shelves and stuff.
I wonder, I'm going to look it up real fast, but I wonder how it sold in comparison. I mean, I know that it sold well. I remember when people were complaining about it, and I looked at the sale, the first couple weeks sales figures, it was like, well, this thing is sold like a crazy, I mean, it's sold very well.
Yeah, but even if it's sold well, I mean, look, Grand Theft Auto's out now. Nobody's playing SimCity anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I was curious about this particular story, was it was like, all right, so less than 1 million global. Is that right? Yeah, looks like it. I don't know. Looks like it's not the biggest selling. SimCity 2000 looks like it still holds the top, the 2.14 million globally. Yeah, I don't know. I just like to point out, it seems like there's a lot of companies. I don't know. Maybe the folks over at EA are just they've adopted the Microsoft strategy of just like, I don't know, what do you want? We'll do whatever. It doesn't just I don't know, just we'll do whatever you want. We'll totally do it. Please don't hate us anymore, because that seems to be what's going on over at Microsoft right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Microsoft has addressed some fears that were raised once again by on a report from Advertising Age that suggested that the Xbox One, if you have the Kinect plugged in, could definitely be mining your overall what it sees to provide targeted advertising when you're messing with it, like watching your face, receiving a smile, and checking out the stuff in your living room or whatever.
I totally believe it's going to do
And then they responded by saying that, no, we're having what did they say? Nobody is working on that. We have a lot more interesting and pressing things to dedicate time towards. I'm not aware of any active work in this space. Also, if something like that ever happened, you can be sure it wouldn't happen without the user having control over it, period. Which I kind of translate to mean... we're still trying to get this thing to fucking work, so no, we're not reading the labels off of your clothing just yet.
Yeah, it'll just be inside some EULA that'll be for the game that you'll just say yes to, and then, it'll be in the game code rather than in the Xbox itself, and you'll just end up giving Electronic Arts the brand of pop you drink and the clothes you wear. It's the world we live in now. I don't know what else you're going to do other than say no to every stupid... end-user license agreement that shows up on screens,
Yeah.
I keep getting these things that you can't sue us, you got to go to mediation, or not. The most you're going to get is a pack of crackers and a bowl of soup, and that's it, so, okay, I don't know.
I thought this was interesting just because, looking at when this stuff has all happened, there have been a couple other stories that kind of tied into the same sort of attitude. I think that maybe I'm wrong about this, Kevin, and maybe it's mostly because I spend, an hour and a half every week screaming the personal details of my life into a microphone, for everybody to listen to. But I'm just starting to get less and less concerned about the exact amount of product, the exact amount of market research that goes into me specifically, or privacy concerns. It's not like I'm chopping up babies to make chili over here or anything. Like, if I'm sitting on the couch and they're like, well, he's drinking Starbucks. Well, of course I'm drinking Starbucks. You can just ask me on Facebook, hey, Jeff, where do you get your coffee? To be like, I just go to Starbucks. It's easy. They've got a drive-through. The amount of personal information that people just volunteer on a daily basis on Facebook and Twitter, and I don't know. What else do the kids use these days? MySpace, LinkedIn, Tumblr.
I don't know. But the thing is it's like, for instance, Starbucks might be sending out a free coffee coupon to everybody that doesn't drink Starbucks coffee. So you would then be excluded from the free coupon because they already got your money. So you're not going to get the discounts, etc. So
Kevin,
there's negatives.
I'm so lazy that if they sent me a coupon for a free cup of Starbucks, I wouldn't use it. I'd forget it at home until it expired. It used to be back.
I've been there. I've done that stupid shit too.
Back in the old days, it used to be. I smoke, and it used to be that you would be at a bar, they would send out the we call them the cancer fairies. They sent out the people with, and they were usually women with the free cigarettes, right? So if you had cigarettes, it'd scan your ID, and they put you on the mailing list, and they take all that stuff, and they give you a few packs of cigarettes for it. Well, now they can't do that anymore. I don't know if it was something internally with all the companies where they changed it, or if it's a law that you can't give out cigarettes to people anymore, but they can't do that anymore. Well, what they will do is they'll give you a coupon, and a coupon will let you take this coupon to any gas station and buy a pack of cigarettes for $1, which is,
right,
way off. I just stopped taking the coupons because I had a stack of them, and every time I left my house, I would forget because I would be like, I'm hungry, I'm going to go get a burger. I'd be halfway out of my house, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, I need cigarettes. Oh, motherfucker, I have 1 billion of those coupons at home, and I keep forgetting them. So I don't know. I guess I used to when I was younger. I was a lot more uptight about, you see the movies where like the advertisements are, they read your eyes and they're like, oh, hello, Jeff, we have a special deal for you because we know you like octopus pornography. Here is a free octopus. And I'm just like, I don't give a shit anymore. Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I just, the fact of the matter is that a lot of these companies end up turning over this information now to the government. And the government, while, it is our government and you pretty much hope that nobody's doing anything malicious with it. A lot of times things don't always go as we would hope them to be, and the fact that they can monitor you and know all of these things about you based on cameras watching you and everywhere, and now your phone calls and your mail that goes out of your house and everything else, that I think some of the concerns are pretty justified. I really don't want a camera just watching me all the time, because I just don't know who's on the other end, and I don't know what they're up to. It just takes one Edward Snowden type of guy to be disgruntled with Microsoft, go over to Hong Kong and be like, I've got all of this amateur porn that the Kinect camera used to take of people having sex in their houses, and I'm releasing it now. It's nobody knew about it, but here it is. You know what I mean? I don't want to be part of any of that.
Sounds awesome, Kevin. We should totally do that.
Putting duct tape over the lens, and I'm just not going to deal with it.
No, I don't know. I've espoused this before, and some people were like, "Oh, well, Jeff is pro government surveillance into everybody's life," and okay, all right, fine. I guess I understand why people are concerned. I guess the thing is that over the last 3 years, it started to become less and less applicable to my own life, because I am out there, like I said, 7 days a week volunteering personal information about myself to all of these people that are listening. So, you guys know when I had a haircut. You guys know what I had for lunch. You guys know I like that Wendy's pretzel burger, and that we get emails that would be sent in that'd be just like, what's your favorite cola? And I would be like, I don't know, Royal Crown or something. I don't know. I mean, I guess at this point I've kind of forsaken my own privacy, so it seems a little weird to me, but I guess it's a good way to think about it. Of most people in this world are not out there screaming their personal details into a microphone 7 days a week for the internet to listen to. So,
right, exactly.
Let's see. All right, and the next story, actually, I pulled this story, and it came up, and it normally would be one that I skipped, Kevin, but I brought it here because of you specifically. Uh-oh. Have you seen the news that SNK has ordered Tomo Incorporated to stop producing the Neo Geo X Gold?
Yes.
And that Tomo has said,
responded,
fuck yourself.
Yes. For some reason, I'm not sure, in the circles where SNK was still developing some more recent game titles of some sort, and people were requesting them, and somebody mentioned that SNK and Tomo don't actually speak to each other. Like, they were saying this before any of this went down. And I thought that was kind of odd. I thought, oh, well, maybe this is just some, almost open, or what is it, public domain type of license or something, because like they do with the NES and everything. And but then I saw this thing come up, and I was like, oh, there apparently is some sort of bad blood between the two companies. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know. But for now, Tomo says they're just going to keep selling it. It'll happen. It'll go to court, and somebody will be found wrong or right, and it'll be settled. And I don't care. I mean, frankly, kind of hope they do ban it.
Yeah.
Because then the other 12 people that bought it would also have the rarest game console ever, like yours truly.
Mm-hmm. That's why I brought it up. It's like, I don't think Kevin is really all that interested in the court case, but I wonder if, when you read a story like this about one of these consoles that you bought, or one of these one-off things, you read something like this where they're like, oh, they're going to shut down production. You're like, yeah, motherfucker, I got one of those.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes. Other times, like with the Gizmondo, when that thing was going under, it was barely in the United States, and I kind of went into a little bit of a panic, because I was like, oh my God, I have got to get one of these things. And it was like now you can find them anywhere, but at the time I was like actually really worried that I wouldn't get one. So
do you have an N-Gage?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had two of them. One I actually used as a phone, and it just fell apart over time. So yeah, all it was though was just a Symbian phone. It had no special hardware in it.
Yeah.
So you could have just used a regular Symbian phone and played any of the N-Gage games on it if you had copies of them. There was no copy protection. It was just a thing for Nokia to try and sell a phone.
I'm still kind of waiting for something that has like the I don't even think it's going to happen anymore, but for a while there I was really excited to see something like maybe a the size of the Neo Geo X or something, with a phone on one side and the like actual sticks and buttons, and like a Game Boy on one side and like an actual physical phone that worked as well. Because it seems like most of the attempts at that have been, they've skewed too far in one direction or the other. And most of the time, they seem to skew too far in the phone direction, to the point where you're just getting these kind of really crappy ports of games that nobody really gives a shit about. Nintendo. That's who I want to make a phone. I want Nintendo to make me a phone that's a phone on the outside, and then you flip it open, and it's a freaking 3DS, and it plays all DS and 3DS games, and it's a phone at the same time. Because
well, there was that one, right? That Sony Ericsson. What was that one that they came out with? It was like the PlayStation phone of some sort.
Expedia.
But it really wasn't.
Xperia Play. Was that it?
Yes. Yeah. I think that had a good form factor. It had that slide out controls and everything, but
but
I don't think it's supported.
Well, they also didn't have analog sticks on it. It had these weird, and it just like the Steam controller had these like touch pads. And I remember I went to E3 in 2011, and they had it there, and they had Minecraft on it, and I tried playing it with these little pads, and it was just like, this is garbage. This is fucking awful.
Did you say that to him? That would have been great.
No, this is
the worst experience I've ever had with a phone.
This is literally the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. Trying to play dumb Minecraft on your dumb fucking phone. Thank you. Good day, sir. Good day.
I mean, I really think it would revolutionize. It's almost like phone manufacturers are afraid to do it, because I really feel like if you had a slide-out game control set on an Android phone, or even if Apple wanted to do it with, I doubt Apple would, but with their iPhones, you could have a lot more fun. But instead, we get these weird sort of contraptions in order to either set your phone on a controller,
right,
or pair it to a big Bluetooth controller, so you have to carry around no one's going to carry around a big controller to play their games on the small screen. They should just integrate the controls. I mean, they could totally do it. I don't know.
I honestly think that it would probably work better if we all agreed that, for the start at least, if we were going to do this in the beginning, that like to start with, maybe you don't have an analog stick. Maybe just have a D-pad and 4 buttons and some shoulder buttons, and you can build.
Totally.
There's plenty of games out there that are totally functional with those buttons. You can even, I even played games on the Vita that used a D-pad and then the buttons on the other side as a makeshift dual analog stick setup. That way you don't have anything sticking out of it. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's how the original the N64 did it too. With the one analog stick, and you would use the camera buttons, as they would call them, to move the camera around behind you. Yeah, no, I agree. Look, if you look at the Vita, it has analog control, and you could fit the freaking analog and the digital sticks and the buttons all on the thing, because you didn't have to have this. You don't have to have this. If it's slide out, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Then you don't have to have it all on the face. I don't necessarily want all the buttons on the face, because I don't want to put my phone down on the conference room table at work and have everybody go, "Oh, look at this guy. He's got his little game system with him." So I got to draw the line somewhere. But I think a slide out would. I don't know. I think it would be just to look the back of the back of your phone. It's not doing anything. It's just hanging out. Yeah. People are all obsessed with this thinness and everything with their phones, and it's just like, come on. Well, it never bothered anybody like 10 years ago when you had that giant ass phone, in order to make calls. Just
duct tape a 3DS to the back of your phone, and then you've got a phone on the front. You can just flip open the boom, problem solved. Make $1 million. $1 million right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next up on the news parade is got a kind of a crazy one. Did you read this week about Square Enix Collective, Kevin?
No, I did not hear that.
All right. So Square Enix is partnering with Indiegogo to basically make a formal relationship of kind of Indiegogo / Square Enix crowdfunding like individual games called Square Enix Collective. I'm just going to read directly from this story on Joystick.
Horrible idea.
The platform allows creators to post their ideas to Square Enix's community, garnering votes over the course of 28 days. Project pitches are evaluated by Square Enix, and providing the community approves the idea, can then be taken to Indiegogo to potentially raise funds for development. Square Enix stays in touch through each game's development process, assisting in distribution once the game is ready. And this is, I think, the first time that I've ever seen, I guess, somebody as big as Square have tried to establish some kind of formal relationship with the whole crowdfunding video game type of thing. And I don't know. I think it's, I don't know. It could be interesting. I mean,
I see a lot of these, large developers going at this and on Kickstarter and Indiegogo in order to fund like millions of dollars, and I don't think that a lot of them are meeting with not so great success, and some of them are just abandoning their campaigns. Like American McGee, that guy. He had that whole Oz thing that he was trying to put together. He had a whole campaign for it, but then he suddenly got sidetracked because he could get the rights to the Alice film rights. So he wanted to change the entire Kickstarter halfway through from Oz to get the Alice rights. And everybody's like, whoa, what are you trying to do? You can't do that. So then he said, forget it. We're going to shut down the Oz Kickstarter, and then we're going to create the Alice Kickstarter instead. Please, everybody go over there. And everybody's just kind of like, well, we don't get all the same stuff. Now we're just going to... And then he's like, well, we can't really give you any materials because we'll only have the rights to the movie and not anything else. And everybody's like, I'm not donating to this. So that whole thing's just bizarre. But yeah, I've seen other companies like asking for millions of bucks on Kickstarter and just not getting it. I'm not against it for certain games.
Yeah.
Like, people have campaigns and they want to say, I want to see a new Legacy of Kain game and not that weird multiplayer game they're making right now.
Right.
So if they did something like that, you might get a lot of people that are interested in it. But if Square at the same time is just going to try and pre-fund the next Final Fantasy, I think that's a horrible idea.
Well, to me, it seems more like I think it sounds like a really good idea personally, because I think that what it probably takes care of is that I've actually heard several times about Kickstarter campaigns where they'll do a Kickstarter campaign, they'll hit their funding goal, they'll make the game, but then they will do a second round of Kickstarting for submitting it for approval and production and getting it onto the services they need, or finalizing the QA or things like that, or they run out of money halfway through. And I think that if you had somebody like Square Enix that was maybe willing to shoulder the cost of distribution in exchange for the percentage of the profits, or I don't know, all the profits, maybe, or whatever. I think that could actually be a really good. Oh,
so they're being like the parent to the people that are developing games independently.
Well,
so is that what you're saying? They're being like the publisher, so to speak. Are they doing like what Ouya does, where like if you agree to put your game on Ouya for the next for the first 6 months of its release, that they match your Kickstarter money dollar for dollar?
It's not specific. I mean, this article doesn't say specifically, doesn't mention any of those specific. Actually, they say that they're going to be rolling out details next month. But I would have to assume that it would be something like that, because let's see, get your game ideas out there. I'm at their official page now. Talk directly to people. Blah blah.
Well, that's a good idea. I like that idea. I thought this was Square themselves trying to take their game library and just throw it on there and be like,
no,
you guys want us to make the next Final Fantasy, you better pay us.
No.
And I think that would be just awful if that
no, I mean, what it seems like is, it just seems like they're giving some sort of, I mean, it seems like they're trying to develop some kind of initial relationship with some of the people that are doing these Indiegogo projects, and then help them out if they need advice about how to get something done.
Perfect.
Send them out the door.
I mean, think about it. If you're Square, that's genius.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about games that, first of all, pre-baked audience, already funded. And all you got to do is do a little hand-holding, and you make a lot of profit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think
good for them.
In fact, I mean, it's funny too, because I was thinking the other day about how when I look through a lot of the news sites that I look through these days, more and more stories out there of just, here's this Kickstarter, and this Kickstarter hit its goal, and this Kickstarter's got 2 days and needs your help, and here's a new Kickstarter for this interesting concept, and here's a new one for that. It's just starting to become half of the news that I'm seeing is just Kickstarter. So yeah. I think that's a really good. I mean, that's a really good way to benefit on both sides. Now, it's entirely possible that Square Enix could use this relationship to fuck the people making those games. And we'll have to see whether that happens or not. But if they don't fuck them, it seems like it could be a good time to be had for all by lending a little bit more of that, seasoned veteran game development. Square Enix will teach these people how to spend 13 years making a game that doesn't really make a whole hell of a lot of money. And then, that'll be the way that goes.
Yeah, but, the game might suck, too. I mean, that's big companies have the pressure of the fact that they're dependent on the sales at the end of the road.
Right.
And so the game has to be good. If you get all the money on the front end, then there's nothing really stopping you from just releasing a game that's a steaming pile.
Yeah.
And so people that invest in Kickstarters need to probably be a little bit, I don't know. I mean, there's not much you can do other than maybe look at a company's track record and sit there and say, well, they've created some good games in the past. I'll trust them with my money again. But since most of this stuff is still real grassroots and people just forming companies up, I don't know. You kind of just got to take a chance.
The other interesting thing about this is that do you know, as near as I can tell, the difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter is that Indiegogo will let you keep your money if you don't hit your goal.
Yeah, that's an option on Indiegogo, right?
Yeah.
You can do it either way on Indiegogo, but yeah, I actually had to get that guy that was coming out with the Otan console to give me my money back because he tried to get $750,000 with his Indiegogo, and at the end of his campaign, he got $1,000.
Woo! Man,
yeah,
it's getting rough out there.
Rough, yeah, and that guy had a fairly decent amount of coverage and play and everything, and just couldn't get off the ground with it. I don't know. Gamers are fickle, man. You got to have something that people really want. I mean, if you're coming out with the next, I don't know, Halo or something like that, and you had to throw it on there, people, you're going to get millions of dollars. Yeah. But if you're going to come out with Jeff and Kevin's Beer Time.
Yeah. Let's make that game. Let's make it.
Yeah, that's not, we'll be lucky if we break $1,000, so.
Hey, everybody, how much, in the comments, how much money would you give to Jeff and Kevin's Beer Time, the video game? It's basically just Kevin and I sitting there drinking beer and talking about how our backs hurt for a long time.
Yeah. It's like that game Tapper where you catch the beers at the end and you got to see which of us you can get drunk quicker.
Kevin and I have recorded 800 hours of dialogue about how much my back hurts and how much his back hurts.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We have to fight hipsters in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We got a future game coming out.
There we go.
Jason Murphy could be like the special power-up.
Yeah.
Where we hit the button and he just appears and just starts throwing like cars at guys.
Yep.
I'm making a whole game up in my head right now. I could keep going.
I tell you what, with this game that you're working on, it's going to be, 10 years from now, it's going to be as Ken Levine, Peter Molyneux, and Kevin Baird, greatest video game creators of our time.
I'll do something to totally screw it up before anything cool like that would ever happen.
Have you played Jeff and Kevin's Beer Time? It's Game of the Year 2014. Rage Select said, Game of the Year 2014, Jeff and Kevin's Beer Time. Like our Indiegogo and subscribe on YouTube.
It's going to be me on freaking Oprah or something, and she's going to be like, why did you think that child rape in the game would be acceptable? And I'll be like, I'm sorry, I didn't know what I was thinking. From the onset, we were dedicated to be drunk the entire time that we were writing, recording, and programming the game. And I cannot tell you what is in this video game. I don't even know myself. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got a couple more stories here. The first one, and I'm bringing this up because it's kind of funny, and I like to poke the bear with the stick, Kevin. Somebody on change.org, my favorite. Change.org is great. You ever just go look at the petitions on change.org? Oh, they're wonderful.
I've heard some of them, but yeah.
There is one that has it's about 3,000 signatures shy of 600,000 signatures to demand that Rockstar release Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PC. And yeah, I wanted to mention this just because I was watching some folks on the website. We ran this story on Rage Select. I was watching some people fight about it, or I don't know if they were fighting there, or if they were fighting in one of our Grand Theft Auto videos. And I just wanted to take a moment to demonstrate some facts here. I don't know. How do you feel about this, Kevin? How do you feel about? I feel like a lot of times you'll see a lot of times when the PC version is later or it hasn't been released or whatever, where the PC crowd is like, "Oh, you sons of bitches! You fucking, I don't want it now. Give it to me."
So what they're demanding is the PC version. So the PC version is not out. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, there is no PC. There is no PC version at current, and I don't think that they haven't announced that there is going to be one yet.
Oh, okay, sure.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be out there, but the actual petition is, I mean, I can read it. It's one paragraph. Please release GTA 5 on the PC. GTA games have been a large part of so many people's lives. It's a big shame not seeing the newest iteration of the game being released on the most powerful platform. Things like modifications have always been a huge part of PC gaming, and modded GTA is some of the best, or some of the most insanely fun times you can have.
Look, if I was Rockstar, I would totally not release it as punishment to the PC gamers for releasing the hot coffee mod. I would totally be like, you guys ruined it for yourselves. It's just like, if your kid got into his Christmas presents, you'd be like, that's it, no Christmas. Same thing. Just don't give it to them because they don't deserve it. Plus, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I personally don't really care. I just think that... Look, it's probably made for consoles. It's probably been very specifically tuned to make the console experience enjoyable. Consoles are pretty cheap right now, and if you're not going to pirate the game, just buy a console and play it on the console. Stop being being so elitist that you can't have a game system in your house, because it's just kind of stupid.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that I was looking at these figures on VG Charts, which doesn't have the North American figures, but I'm pretty willing to bet that GTA 4 sold well for a PC game. It did not sell anywhere near as many copies as it did on the consoles, as it did on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. The PC version just, I mean, I'm one of those people that's in the camp of saying, fuck GTA 5, put Red Dead Redemption out on the PC. I'm still waiting for that. Get all the crazy mods and nuttiness going on there. But I think at the end of the day, it just has to be the sort of thing whereas if it was designed and created for a console and the port job is going to take a fair amount of money, I mean, they've already got everybody's money. Everybody already paid them already. So I don't know why they would be in like a, just as soon as it starts out, it's the fastest selling game of all time, Guinness Book of World Records. But nobody take a break because we have to fucking get this PC version out right the fuck now. I mean, they could release it.
These guys just want to pirate it. They don't want to pay for it. That's the whole petition.
Yeah.
They just want to steal the game.
I
don't believe for a minute that they want to actually buy it.
I think I actually saw in the comments on some website somewhere where somebody was like, they need to release this on the PC, and when they do, I'm going to steal it to show them that you should have released it on the PC originally. And it was just like, whoa, dude. I don't know what's happening in your brain, but you need to write those words down on paper and look at them because I'll show them. I will give them any money, and then next time maybe they'll release the PC version at the same time as the other consoles. You go, what are you smoking like antifreeze? Like what the fuck? What kind of reasoning is that? That's crazy talk. That's insanity. So.
Yeah, it's probably just the kids that are in they're in college and they only in a dorm room and they only have the one computer or something. I can't even imagine a scenario where you just can't have a console. I mean, I just don't. I mean, what'd you say? You pay like $1,000 for your PC? I mean, what's an Xbox now? $199,
$200, $250, depending on what version you get
in the game. I mean, come on, it's like get a paper route, man. Make a little bit of money and go buy a system. I just don't,
Yeah.
I'm sure used. You can get one used for probably $60 or something somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I'm big.
I gotta tell you though, Kevin. I got this new PC. I installed a bunch of stuff on Steam, and I turned it on and like jacked everything up to ultra. It runs so good. It runs so good. Like everything's just running super fast. I gave myself whiplash the other day playing. It's been a while since I've played a first-person shooter with a mouse and a keyboard. I don't think. Maybe some Counter-Strike Go last year or something like that, but even that's kind of slower. But Shadow Warrior is a super fast game where you're just running around, stabbing shit, and everything's all filling up the screen with explosions. And it's been a while since I've done a mouse and a keyboard. I'd kind of forgotten just how precise playing a game that runs at a smooth 60 frames per second with a mouse and a keyboard. Yeah. Woo! It's saucy.
Yeah, no, a new PC that plays games isn't, it's amazing. The bad thing is that in 2 years it'll be horrible again.
Yeah.
And that's where consoles tend to get their, that's when they dig in on you because they last longer.
Well, that...
I'm the same way. I just built a PC not that long ago with a top-end Radeon, and it's great. Play freaking everything on it. Everything, jacked to the moon, but at the same time, I know as soon as I have like a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One, I'll probably not sit in front of the PC to play games very.
I don't know, but what's that? There was a story a couple weeks ago or last week or I don't know, sometime. I heard it on another podcast. Somebody talking about a story that Watch Dogs is apparently only going to run at 30 frames per second on the new consoles.
That's fine. People, I don't know. I mean, I do think that frame rate matters to an extent, but I think that 30 is completely acceptable. I mean, anybody that's, complaining about that, somewhere around like 20 frames per second, then it becomes like super annoying. But 30 I think it's completely playable. I mean, fact of the matter is a lot of people run, in 1080i, which is only a 30 frames per second refresh anyway. Mm-hmm. So they won't even notice. It's more of the 1080p folk that could be like, it doesn't have enough frames. I don't know. I find that stuff to be unimportant. They're releasing the game. If the game's crappy, they may blame it on the frame rate or something. But I don't know. If they're the developers, if they think it's okay, I'm cool with it.
Fair enough. And one more story. This one's just a little bit of fluff. Hey, they're remaking Gabriel Knight. That's pretty cool.
Which one? Not the last.
The first one. The first one.
Oh,
yeah. It's approaching the 20th anniversary of the original release. Point-and-click adventure game Gabriel Knight: Sins of the Fathers will soon see a remake helmed by its original designer, Jane Jensen.
Yeah, it's going to be horrible.
What's that?
It's going to be awful.
Going to be terrible?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a point-and-click adventure, and plus it's already out. Mm-hmm. I mean, write a new... Hey, everybody. Go to classroom-graffiti.com if you want a real point-and-click adventure game that yours truly is writing for and make somewhat of a cameo in the game. Don't give Jane Jensen any of your money because you can already get her game for free somewhere on the net. Don't give her your money. Go to classroom-graffiti.com and help a brother out.
Kevin, okay? You become a monster. You become a monster.
I'm just saying. That's just like the people that complain about remaking films, Like, they don't need to remake this movie. It's great. It's the same thing. Why? I'm not saying Gabriel Knight's great, but come on.
See, I never played the original.
Make a new one.
Never played it back in the old days. So I don't know. Maybe.
But you can. It's still there. You know what I mean? Like, you could still go play it. It's not like you got to go downstairs and warm up the projector and put the film canister on. This is like your PC is completely capable of playing it. It's going to have crappy graphics, but the game, the storyline's still the same. I don't know. I just think Jane Jensen wants to, not just try to look like like she's trying to just make a quick buck. She should make a new one. Why can't you just make a new Gabriel Knight?
It's very true. $6 on good old games. Just looked it up. Gabriel Knight.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. Cool. Well,
probably graphic mods out there for it anyway. Probably somebody out there's got some high res spec.
You know what? I like the old stuff. I like especially in adventure games where they were messing around with, different takes on the way that people looked in environments and stuff like that. I like the way that old adventure games look, personally.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And that is the last news story that I've got. So let's just jump. You want to jump right into emails? You want to take a break?
Sure, of course.
All right, then let us get started. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address, and we've got a few this week. First one comes in from Ethan, and he says, "Hey, Jeff and Kevin, first time writing in. Do you think the problems that Rockstar are having with GTA Online will tarnish the good work they did with the single player of GTA 5 and their reputation?" Ethan, what do you think, Kevin?
The fact is, that's the first I've heard of it, so I don't think so. I don't think their reputation is damaged at all. I think they sold, $800 million in the first day?
Up to $1 billion in 24 hours, I believe, was the last thing that they had out there.
Yeah, I don't think their reputation gets stained. At the same time, they should fix the problem. That's a lot of money. They've got enough money to fix it. Whatever the problem is, they should fix it.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've read stuff about this, and I've worked at companies, talked with other people about launches and stuff like that. And the simple fact of the matter is that, and going forward, I think that I would. One of the reasons I picked this is because I want you to weigh in on this, Kevin. I don't think there's going to be such a thing in the future as a smooth launch for a popular video game. I mean, this, like, the simple fact of the matter is that there's really only two things that Rockstar could have done with this. Is they could have purchased just so many servers for like the first week, because after a week the shit's going to taper back down to a reasonable amount. Like, even now, right. I mean, the first 2 days it was unplayable, and then by the second day, like after Jason and I had finished recording, it was like 10 p.m. at night. I was able to play the game for a bunch of hours. Yeah, people, they're losing their progress. Stuff is disappearing from them. Whatever. Like, the resources that you have to devote to a game that has an online component like this launching smoothly, and the amount of server space and kind of overreaction to the potential launch damage that could happen is not worth it. It's just not worth it. I mean, like, the same thing was true with SimCity, Diablo 3, any of these things that had to be online that launched with a day one problem. As near as I can tell from everything that I've read, like, you can overinvest like crazy. You can invest in enough server resources to be able to handle literally anything, and you're going to need it for like 3 weeks, and then everything's going to be settled down. So as near as I can tell, it is always going to be more cost effective to launch with a reasonable amount of server allocation, and then spool up more servers as is necessary, instead of just being like, well, I don't know, just turn them all on. I don't care. Just here's $1 million. Just turn on all the servers. Like, I don't give a fuck. Because it's easier to react to that problem. Because it's another thing from my days back in QA, there is no way for you to test some of this shit. Like, you do limited beta stress testing where you're like, hey, it's a beta weekend. Everybody in the world can log into this game over beta weekend so we could test our server capability. Still, it is nothing compared to when you sell this shit and it's for real and it's online. Yeah. Like,
yeah. Look, what they ought to do, frankly, is with these deluxe sets that they sell with these video games, is they should make it like, if you buy the deluxe set, you get in to the online,
private server,
a couple of weeks. Or no, just a couple of weeks before everybody else. Mm-hmm. You say the live service is going to be everybody else after a certain amount of time, and then you add the other people in, sort of like a round robin style or something, so that they're not all added in at once. You go through people's last names or whatever to determine some sort of an order. When the servers reach capacity, you just hold off the other people. And if they don't like it, they could have bought the deluxe pack and got in from the very beginning. Yeah. I mean, it's a free market society. You gotta monetize it somehow and make it worthwhile for everybody. And I figure the best way to do that is to just create a buy-in, because there's a lot of people like yours truly that doesn't really care about the online component.
No, plus the other thing to always keep in mind is the fact that you still have like a 50+ hour video game, single player game that you could still be playing. Like, if all that had been in the box of Grand Theft Auto 5 when you bought it for $60 was just GTA 5 without any of the online stuff, that would have been well worth that amount of money.
Absolutely. And that's probably why most people bought it. I mean, the online is just icing on the cake, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's like that with a lot of games. I don't know.
I think that there are problems. I think they'll get worked out. I honestly think that.
I mean, if it's a problem like SimCity was, where you can't play the game because the online is having problems, then that's a horrible mistake, and people should be burned.
Well, you could play the online. You could continue to play the single player.
But isn't the single player always online? Isn't that the whole thing that they were saying, that you can't play it offline because of the weather and
Grand Theft Auto? No, I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto.
No, SimCity. Yeah. Right. That's why I'm saying that's a horrible mistake if it was like that. Right. In this game, it's not. So.
Right. I mean, I think that I just think the idea of expecting. I mean, like, I'll go back to when I was. I might have mentioned this before, but like, Kevin, when you play Skyrim, did you play it on the console or did you play it on the PC?
On the PC. I actually bought it for the console, and it's still sealed, sitting next to it.
Ooh, collectors.
Yeah.
So, like, there was a problem on the PlayStation 3, and this is kind of how I deal with thinking about bugs and especially online type of stuff or whatever. But there was a problem on the PS3 version of the game where the later you got into Skyrim, the more the save files would start to balloon and get bigger and bigger, and the game would chunk down or whatever. And it generally didn't happen until you've been playing for like a good 30 or 40 hours. At that point, it would start to be a problem. And I would see people all the time who are just like, Bethesda's fucking, they're just garbage. Did they even test this game? Did they even check it before they sent it out? How could you release this with this sort of problem? Now, here's the thing, is that when you have a bug in a video game that takes 40 hours to get to, no QA tester has 40 fucking hours to dick around in Skyrim in the QA process. Nobody does that. It's not cost effective. It's like when I worked for Star Wars Galaxies and we would put stuff out, and you would find people online would be finding this crazy. So if I turn my lightsaber on and then I turn it off and then I drop it on the ground, then my friend picks it up and then I jump into a speeder and then I get directly into my ship and I fly to another planet and then I jump into, I take my shoes off, then the game crashes. And you're just like, what the fuck are you doing all that for? I mean, like, who is the world is ever going to find this stuff before it goes online? So I feel that with a lot of this stuff, the sophistication of what you're dealing with is so much higher that, I mean, you could pay QA departments, you could shovel all the money in the world into a QA department, and you can make it a billion, you can make it a whole bunch of people, a reasonable amount of people. You got them banging on the thing 24 hours a day. There's still going to be daily updates, so they're never going to get the kind of long-term testing that people are going to get in the wild. And for this sort of launch stuff, who the fuck knows? I mean...
Well, I think, though, that the problem is, from the gamer's perspective, is that, a lot of companies will apply a patch, but often they'll apply it really freaking late, You've got a problem right now on a game you bought. It's ruining your game experience. Right. And they're going to release a patch in about 2 months from now. You're just going to lose your mind because they decide in some boardroom somewhere that it makes more sense to release the patch as part of some roll-up update or something. Mm-hmm. And I think people lose their mind over that. And the other problem is that some companies don't even release a patch.
Yeah.
You paid all that money and they're just saying, F you, the game's broke and just too bad. And that's
I know,
so I understand why they get upset. There's no standard in terms of getting your patches for your games when there's a problem.
Yeah, and I understand that. I definitely do. But I mean, with this Grand Theft Auto thing, I saw people just terrible amounts of bitching and complaining on launch day.
They're all 7 years old.
I can't get in. The servers are overloaded. This is the worst. Fuck this. I mean, the fact that even the way that this question, I even had a second question that was sent to me this week about whether Rockstar should be held accountable for the issues that was seen with that. And I don't want to completely let them off the hook, but they already have 2 patches out, and I haven't been back to the game since we recorded on it, but I'd be willing to bet that it's probably stabilized by now, and that as time goes on, it's just going to get more stable. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any problems giving a company 48 to 72 hours of just the servers are on fire, because generally after that, things tend to work out. But yeah, I mean, on the end that you're talking about, if a company has a serious, egregious bug in a game and 2 months have gone by and they haven't made any traction on it, yeah, that's kind of bullshit. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think people need to be more understanding. I think a lot of people that just complain on the internet, like you were saying earlier, because it's anonymous and nobody can punch them in the mouth.
Right.
But the thing is if these people are making a really fun game, you really want to play it because it's fun, and they're going to fix your problems. So, it's unfortunate that they're not going to fix your problem today, but they are going to fix it. So just, do something else, man. Go outside and freaking, garden or something. I don't know.
Rage Light does not endorse gardening or going outside. Just don't go outside. Yeah. Don't go outside.
Yeah. Stay inside. Drink. Just
there
drink.
You go.
Watch some movies.
Pornography. Drink and watch pornography.
Lots of other things to do. There's plenty of other games out there, too. Put that one on pause. And what was that we were talking about? SimCity? They'd love to have you back. Yeah. So go finish working on your city.
The problem with SimCity was that it had to be online. It's that they fucked up SimCity when they made the game. Anyway. All right, let's move on. Next is from Colonel Sanders. Okay. Colonel Sanders says, good evening. This is another Grand Theft Auto question. This is the last one I got. Good evening, you classy puppets on the Classy Cast. Grand Theft Auto 5 is out. Yes, let's talk Grand Theft Auto 6. Yes. Where would you like the next Grand Theft Auto game to take place, and what exciting things would you like to see in it? I'd like the franchise to return to Vice City for an HD upgrade with batshit crazy family of 4 protagonists. However, considering that tech will take another leap when it will be released, possibilities of multiple locations is also an exciting idea. Stay classy, motherfuckers. Colonel Sanders. What do you think, Kevin? Where do you want to see? Do you play GTA 5, right? I mean,
oh yeah. Okay. Well, no, actually, I've not played 5 yet. That's just mostly due to my immensely busy schedule, not because I have any reason not to play it. Dallas, Texas.
I seeing what they did with LA, like having been to LA and you drive around in Los Santos, and I'm like, I've been to that fucking strip center before. That looks exactly like the strip center that was near our hotel when we went to E3. Like I would love to see them do something that was like Austin. I mean, the obvious answer would of course be, like he said, Vice City. But you know what I want, Kevin? I want them to go back to their real roots. I want the Grand Theft Auto London 1969 Part 2.
Oh God, no, none of that driving on the other side of the street crap. No, I think Dallas. Dallas has a really good crime rate. It's a big city.
Chicago.
Chicago. I don't think Chicago, because it's too much like New York. I think Texas has a certain appeal to it because it's different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have that. You've done the East Coast, you've done the West Coast, you've done London, you've done Florida. Texas is due, man. Plus, population of Texas keeps growing. You know what I mean? You got a built-in audience right there of some size. They should really do it. It doesn't have to be Dallas. It could be Houston or Austin or whatever, but San Antonio. But it should be. I don't know. That seems like the best state. No.
I wonder if that would come off as too close to. I mean, if it would feel like
you got
California.
Breaking Bad right in New Mexico,
Albuquerque,
giving you all sorts of great ideas right off of that. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's got because you could be a rodeo or what I mean. Like there's all sorts of ridiculous stuff you could do out of Texas just because it's Texas.
Yeah, I guess.
And then you just have all of the standard stuff too. I mean,
I guess in all 3 of those locations, and they've got their New York, their Los Angeles, and they've got Miami. That none of those really have the South. None of those really represent very much the American South of just like rednecks and hillbillies and barbecue and all that bullshit. Yeah, that could be very cool.
They could have a lot of fun with it. Yep.
What I really want them to do, Kevin? I want them to fucking finish The Agent and put that out because I still want to play that game, even though it's never going to come out. It's never going to happen. Do you remember that?
I don't even know. I don't even remember that. Is that like some side story?
No. It was an entirely different game. It was originally announced as a PlayStation 3 exclusive stealth action game that took place during the Cold War, where you played as an American intelligence agent in like Russia and globetrotting and that sort of thing.
Already sounds great.
Yeah, like they had a few screenshots. That was it. And let's see if they said no. They renewed the trademark. There's Grand Theft Auto 5, a license plate on a lookalike Aston Martin DB5, and the mission deep inside had the combination of alphanumeric characters Agent, suggesting it could be a hint their next video game may end up being Agent. Yeah, it's been in development. Like it was one of those games that was announced when they did the announcement at E3 for the PlayStation 3, which is just like, here's everything for the future. And one of those was Rockstar getting up there going, we've got this brand new game, we totally want to play it, because I honestly think that that sounds badass. Stealth, espionage in the height of the 70s, 80s Cold War type of stuff. That could be a really fun game, and I think it would make a really. I don't know. I still want to play this shit.
I mean, if you're making a game raw, without say a pre-baked engine and everything, it can take a long time to develop. I mean, look at how long Valve drags ass on half their titles when they're in development. I don't doubt that this thing's just been. I don't think it's been canceled at all. I think probably they've just been working on it the whole time. I mean, Rockstar's got so much money anyway. They can probably just sit around and talk shop, dab a little code, watch a movie.
Well, they're coding. They've got a whole group of developers that's coding the agent for 10 minutes every day in their office.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're just kind of relaxing, getting massages and everything.
That was tough. Let's go get drunk, man. It's 2:00 somewhere.
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, but I bet you it's still going to come out. I'll bet it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think GTA 5 is good, and I think it's going to keep us going for a little while. I think I'd rather see them do another sequel before they come back to Grand Theft Auto. I think I'd rather see, we've been on record a million times. Red Dead 2, want it, love it. Jason you say that to him and he just falls to the ground and starts having seizures and shit because he wants it so bad.
Yeah, that'll be great. No, I mean, I think that
Manhunt.
If Agent was actually scrubbed, they would tell people. Just like remember how StarCraft Ghost was always in perpetual limbo?
Yeah.
And then eventually they just came out and they were just like, all right, look, it's just not happening. All right.
StarCraft Ghost and Warcraft Adventures both.
Yeah. Yep.
Manhunt 3. That's what I'm really looking for. Fuck Grand Theft Auto. I want Manhunt 3.
Are they actually working on that?
No, there is no Manhunt 3. Dude, no, I got it, Kevin. State of Decay 2. Or no, State of Emergency 2. Because the first one was garbage. It was terrible. I hated that game. And they made me so interested. Did you ever play that? Where it's like a riot? They had more characters on screen than ever before, so you just run around.
No, I don't think so. It sounds familiar. Maybe I did. I know, not a riot. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, State of Emergency. It was terrible. And that was one of those things where a gaming magazine got me really excited about a game, and then I played it, and I was just like, oh. So, all right, this next question is from Jason, and Jason says, have either of you guys ever had a game you considered a, quote, white whale? A game that came out and you found really interesting, but never got to play when it was current, and it just bugged you at the back of your mind. Did you ever end up getting a chance to sit down with it? Did it live up to the expectations you had of it, or did it totally fail to impress? Thanks, and stay classy, Jason. What do you think?
I'm sorry. What's the question?
I'm sorry. Am I reading too fast, or did I cut out?
No. I will admit, I totally phased out because I hear my dogs howling, and I'm not quite sure what they're howling about. So I was drifting.
Okay. Well, if there's a murderer in your house, let me know.
I don't think so. But I want to make sure no dog's dying down there because it bit into an electrical cord or something. But I think
yell to that murderer, be like, "I'm podcasting. They'll totally know."
Yeah.
No, he's asking if we've ever had a game that was our quote like white whale, like a game that you thought was interesting, but you never got a chance to play, and then did you ever get a chance to go back and play it? And if you did, what did you think about it at the time, et cetera, et cetera. So. I think for me, a lot of those original Xbox games, there were a few of them. And in some of the early 360 games, like I remember I really wanted to play Jet Grind Radio Future. Was that what it was?
There was two different ones, Jet Set and Jet Grind.
Okay,
yeah.
Whichever the one was on the original Xbox. I thought that Jet Set Radio Future. Yeah, I thought that game looked really interesting, and I always wanted to play it. And I ended up playing a little bit of it at like a kiosk at a GameStop somewhere, and I always wanted to play it, but I didn't want to buy an Xbox in order to play it. That and Shenmue was one that I never got a chance to play, but it was one of those things that looked like just total and complete crack cocaine when it came out.
Yeah, so these are games I never played, but I wanted to play, and I never played them. That's what we're saying, basically, that I always wanted to play a game, but I never got to it. Because I can tell you, like, some games that I thought really looked good, like Myst, when I saw that, and I was like, oh my god, that game looks amazing. And then I sat down and played it, and I was like, wow, this is horrible. It's not even a game. It's just pictures.
That was, I think Myst might have been one of my first hipster game snob moments in my lifetime, where it was just like everybody's like, oh my god, have you played Myst? It's so good. And I was just like, are you full of shit? Have you ever played any video games ever? Like trying to make the water go boo doo boo doo boop boop. You know, who the fuck cares, man? I don't care. I don't care about what's going on in here. Some dude's trapped in a book or a TV or put a bunch of hipster branches on this metal cart. I don't care.
It was so bizarre. It was so bizarre that people were so into that game.
I didn't get it personally, but I. No, or just anything that you wanted to play. I figured this would be a good question for you because, well, I guess this maybe more of a even a white whale system. Maybe it would be a better question of just something that you wanted to get your hands on that you weren't able to for a long time, and then maybe you haven't ever, or maybe you did, and then if you did, like, what did you think?
No.
Tell me if you could snap your fingers and have one console that you don't already have, what would it be?
Probably an Adventure Vision, just because it's the rarest of the rare, and it's freaking, if you want to buy a cartridge for the thing, it'll cost you at least $1,000. Getting an actual system is just outrageous. But the game system itself is just rubbish.
What is it?
It's just this little tabletop, looks like a little arcade game, but it's all the graphics are just red LEDs.
Uh-huh.
It has like Defender and a few other games. It was a total failure, so it was taken off the shelves rapidly.
Uh-huh.
But it's super, super rare, and if you ever see it appear on eBay, I mean, for broken ones, they go for over $1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm looking it up. It's that's a weird looking thing. It's an interesting thing.
It is, and it's actually not like the technology was so bad or something like that the LEDs are actually just 5 LEDs, and then it uses some mirror trick to make it so they look like there's more or something. So it's not even like the budget was that cheap. I guess that mirrors were, these days you can get an LED for I don't even know. They just give them to you. Do you want some?
Right.
But back then they had to use a mirror to stretch the budget.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's still not a white whale of a thing, but I don't really, because I could pretty much get anything that I really want. If I really, really wanted it, I could throw the money down on it. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of been my own personal philosophy. Is, I mean, for the most part, most of the stuff that I'm interested in playing, I have a way to play, or I found a way to play.
Yeah.
There were a few things like, I remember, I guess, everybody back in the old days when the N64 was out, because I didn't ever have one. My friends had GoldenEye, and I always wanted to sit down and play that, but I never got a chance to.
Sure.
I think that so there was a few Wii games that I wanted before I had a Wii, but for the most part, I mean, most of this stuff, I'm a 35-year-old man. I worked in the tech industry through the mid-90s and had way too much money. So if I wanted something, I would just go figure out a way to buy it. I mean, not like Mr. Moneybags or whatever, but consoles and console games were not especially expensive. So if you saw something that looked really interesting, you'd find it somewhere. And generally wasn't even that difficult to even find if you were just paying attention when the shit came out. So I don't know. At this point, also going back to some of those things, like, I would never want to play Jet Set Radio Future now because I'm sure that it would look like garbage, and I would be like, oh, well, no, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time, I'm sure you remember, back in the PlayStation and other, 16 and 32-bit consoles, that there were games that were good games released in Japan way before they would be released in the United States. And I would want to get them, and the only way you could do it is either through some crazy importer, and you'd get the Japanese version and have to try to figure out what they were saying in the game, or, you would one day get it. And some games never even came out that were really good games that, for whatever reason, they just never brought them over here. That may still be true today, although I think most of them are just, like, weird dating simulators or something that don't come out here. But you'd have to wait a long time. I mean, they get whole console launches. I mean, the Sega Dreamcast came out in Japan, like a month or something before it came out in the United States. And when you're a hardcore gamer, man, that's a long time to wait. When other people are having fun with their game system and telling you how great all the games are, and you're just like, ooh, You just want one. It's just, I don't know, crazy.
There was a particular date and time when, exactly what you're saying. When Japanese, I remember for the biggest one for me was Final Fantasy, because it would take like a year between when Final Fantasy VII, like the big one, the one that we were all just like, oh, and everybody was like, in Japan, they were all like, oh, it's so good. You're just like, oh, shut up. It's not coming out here until 2 years from now, like.
You're just hoping you knew somebody from Japan that could fly over there and get you a copy or something, It was
Some
horrible.
people have done it, but there were honestly times in my life where I was like, I don't care how fucking hard it is. I'm going to learn Japanese so I can import these games and play them before, because I cannot wait for some localization team to take fucking a year and a half to turn Persona 4 into a US game, or, I don't know. Most of the times, these days, they tend to release all at the same time. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But it used to be, especially when Japanese games a lot of times used to have, they used to have an edge. They used to have better graphics or better stories, or they were doing more cutting-edge things, and it would just be like, wait forever.
Yeah, it was absolutely torture.
Which is why a few weeks ago, people were so flabbergasted. I was like, the PlayStation 4 isn't coming out in Japan before it comes out in the United States. What the fuck is up with that? They have to wait 2 months? I'm like, this is crazy talk, because the world that I lived in, Japan always gets everything cool first, and then we get it way later.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's still weird to me.
All right, well, let's bang on. We kind of went off crazy on a tangent there. This next one is from Louis or Lewis. I don't know how you differentiate between the two when there's no context clues. And so he says, okay, this one's a bit long, so stick with me here. Our Lord and Beard Blaster Jeff and the other guy, and Kevin. Come on, Lewis. With the recent release of The Wonderful 101, I've noticed a trend in reviewer opinions of the game and random schmucks I've asked about it on sites like 4chan and GameFAQs. Well, I can see one problem that you have right there. Reviewers don't seem to give games a fair chance if they don't beat you over the head with instructions on how to play, despite these same reviewers claiming to love retro games that have way less instructions than anything that the guys at Platinum have made. Hell, Super Mario Brothers just drops you into the game and without anything other than press start. If you don't look up how to play. Despite this, I have found the Wonderful 101 to be quite simply a wonderful game. It's filled with imagination, passion, and understanding of the medium and mechanics of video games. But the game does not hold your hand. It tells you the basic functions of attacks and moves in the game that every advanced technique is basically just a combination of, meaning you have to apply your skills in ways you think of on your own. You can very easily get through the game with Unite Hand just pressing the A button, but you won't get a good rank. You'll take a long time. If you learn the mechanics, not only are you rewarded with a higher rank, but you cut down significantly in time. My question to you, Jeff, is this. What level of tutorials versus unaided exploration of mechanics do you prefer, and how much do you think is needed for, certain gamers? And that's it. And he says, my name isn't important. Just call me Lewis if you must, or Louis, or whatever. So, I don't know. Did you play Wonderful 101, Kevin?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I bought it, and I wanted to review it, but just it's so hard these days to find the time to play through specific games. And I want to say this, guy, I don't mind. I think that tutorials. Okay, let's start with, we'll talk about tutorialization, and then I want to put in my 2 cents about Wonderful 101. I don't know. How do you feel about tutorials? Do you like them when they're built into the game, or when they're real like? I mean, I don't like them when they're just, some older games and even some newer games have that, like, here's a menu. All right, let's go through the first one. How to move around in a video game. And you're just like...
Yeah, I don't like it that they're required. Mm-hmm. I'd like that, and there should just be... And a lot of games do it. They make it so there's basics and then there's advanced. And for those of us that already use the first-person shooter, move us right into advanced. And that's fine, but... I don't like when they're mandatory, because, like you said, they could be just irritating. At the same time, if they write it into the story, kind of like how they did it in Fallout 3, where you were the baby, for instance, and you had to walk and all that sort of stuff. That was brilliant. If they do it like that, great.
I mean, I honestly think that my favorite of all, is exactly what you're saying. Like, a lot of times there's no reason to. I mean, truth be told, the way that I like tutorial mechanics to work is so you don't even barely notice them, and they basically start out the game, and they're like, hey, move, and you move, and they're like, cool, now hit that guy with this button, and you're like, all right, and you're like, all right, now kick him with this button, and you're like, okay, and you do this as it's all built into the game, and it's not... It's built into the action of the beginning of the game without having to stop the game for any reason. You know what I don't like is actually in Grand Theft Auto 5 they had one of the things that's starting to become a huge pet peeve of mine is tool tips. Is in Grand Theft Auto 5 they would put up these tool tips, like they would flash the text box in the upper left hand corner while you were playing the game. And like you're like, I'm running from the cops. I can't look at that right now. Or this guy is shooting me. I can't stop and read this box of text. And then it seemed like they had it timed really well so that as soon as things settled down and you would look up, it would like, boop, it would pop away. And you were just like, ah. Now, for Wonderful 101, on the other hand, I played that game for about 6 hours. I don't like that game. And I don't like it not because it doesn't have tutorials telling you what to do. I don't like it because it doesn't feel good. Like Wonderful 101, you have your one thumb on your left stick, and you have the 4 buttons on the right hand side that you're using to do different types of attacks. But then they also have this thing where you have to draw you can use the right stick to draw, which if you've ever used the right stick to draw, it's terrible. Or you can use the touchpad in the middle to draw these circles, like to... I'm sorry, I'm doing a bad job of explaining this. So in Wonderful 101, like, you have these little guys, and you can form them into a giant sword. And the way that you do that is you draw a straight line on the touchpad, and then they form up into a giant sword. And that sword lasts for a few seconds, and then it dissipates, and you can use it to attack the people. The problem that I was having was it seemed like all the timing in that game was off. That, like... if I was drawing something, immediately after that I would get attacked. Or if I broke down my guys and I dodged an attack and then I would hit the button to bring the sword back out again, that as soon as I was ready to hit a guy with it, boom, it would crumble and they would go back into being their little guys. Like, to me, the whole game didn't really feel very well because it felt like it couldn't decide whether it wanted to be an on-the-pad action game or some kind of drawing stuff on a tablet game, that it had too much of both of those in there, so that it never felt like the two came together. It really felt like two separate parts of the game that were butting heads up against each other. I'm probably going to go back to it someday and maybe take a look at it, but to be honest, it just never, like, I loved the art style. I liked the story. I think that it had this bombastic, over-the-top Japanese style that I really dug on it. Some silly villains, some good dialogue. I liked a lot of it, except the part where I actually had to play the game. When I had to play the game, it was just like, this doesn't feel good. And I know how to play it. Like, I'm not confused at how to play the game. It's just the way that they make you play it, it doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel real good. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Not playing it.
Yeah,
You've convinced me.
The thing is that, I mean, I think it's done by the same guy who did the Beautiful Joe, like the art style. They had the little guys with the big heads that kind of look like little weird baby people or whatever. And it's got a cool story. It's about these 100 superheroes that are trying to stave off an alien invasion by going around. There's like secrets, upgrades, stuff to do. Just doesn't feel good actually playing the game. Like, I love the art style of everything about it, except for actually playing the game, which feels to me like just this clunky thing where they're trying to shoehorn take this for example. The game has a thing where you can play the whole game on the Wii U pad, right?
Right.
Like you can with a lot of other games. But then they have these sequences where, so say you're playing the game on your TV and you have the Wii U pad, you go inside of a building, right? And then the game screen actually flips down to the Wii U pad so that you can see what's inside of this building, and you go around and you do stuff on the pad down in your lap. The thing is that if you're playing the actual game on the pad, it just swaps the two. And I don't know if you play your Wii U without the TV turned on, but that's what I was doing one day. And when I went into this building, suddenly the game just stopped, and it was because the Wii U was actually projecting what was going on that second pad inside of on the TV. I don't know. I'm doing a bad job explaining this. I didn't find the game very well put together. I don't think it has anything to do with the tutorial. I don't think the reason that people don't like that game has anything to do with the tutorial. I think it has everything to do with the controls. Anyway, let's move on because I'm rambling. This next email is from Randy, and Randy says, "Dear Jeff and Kevin, I do not watch Breaking Bad, but with the conclusion of the show, I've had..."
Stop reading it. Just delete
That's right. No, it's all right.
No,
it's all right. It's all right. I have to atone for my sins, of saying that Jason doesn't watch Breaking Bad. Okay, I do not watch Breaking Bad, but with the conclusion of the show, I've had way too many people telling me I'm an idiot for not watching, and I need to start watching as soon as possible. It's been so bad that I've started resenting the show, even though I've never seen an episode. Same thing happened to me with the end of Mass Effect. Never played it, haven't had time to start. Is there a particular TV show, TV series, or video game series you dislike simply because of its popularity and the fact that you have not played/watched it? Greatest podcast ever. Randy, the board accountant.
Randy is obviously a guy who wears skinny jeans.
Uh-huh.
Because he's a hipster. Okay. He's a hipster who doesn't like what's popular.
He's a hipster accountant.
No, but look, this is a perfect question for you, Jeff, because you're the kind of guy that would have been hearing about it and being like, and then you got turned on to it. So this guy is speaking your language.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to mention when I read his email, it reminded me that I don't know if I ever told you this, Kevin. Did you know that when Harry Potter first came out, when the books were out, and everybody was reading them, like children, adults, everybody, I was like, fuck that kiddie crap. And they'd be like, no, they're really good. And I'd be like, no, you can go take that wizard shit and just shove it directly into your anus because fuck you. I don't read books published by Scholastic, all right? Why don't you pick up some literature at your local bookstore, you fucking idiot. And for me, it was exactly what he's talking about. It wasn't anything that I had read about the book. It was just that nobody would shut up about it. It was just... right. It's just all day. Everybody that you know is doing it. And you're just like, are you guys talking about that shit again? And they're like, oh my God, it's so good. I'll loan you the first 12 books. I'll loan you 12 seasons on DVD. And you're just like, no, dude, I don't want to. It's so good. You have to. And then eventually, years later, I picked up the first book and I was like, hey, this is really good. I read through all the way up to, I think it was Order of the Phoenix was the last one that was out at that point. And I tore through like in a couple of days because those are super easy books to read, just all those books. So here's the thing, Randy, that I can tell you. Yes, this has happened to me before. When people are talking all the time about some TV show or video game and they won't shut the fuck up about it, and they keep telling you that you have to watch it, and eventually you just go to a point where you're like, this has become irritating and I don't even want to anymore because you guys won't shut the fuck up about it. I find it best to not engage with the person that's trying to get you to do that thing. If they're like, have you ever seen Breaking Bad? And you just go, nope. And they go, oh my God, you haven't seen Breaking Bad? And you're like, yeah, that's right, I haven't seen Breaking Bad. Oh, you have to watch it. And you just go, yeah, I will sometime. They're like, no, now. And then you go, are you a child? You have to shut up now. I will watch it someday. Just leave me the fuck alone. Because the other thing that can happen is if everybody in the world is so super psyched about something, and it's going to be the best thing ever, and you totally have to watch it, and then you watch it, and you're like, it's fine, you guys. It's a pretty good TV show. And they're like, validate my opinion with your enthusiasm. You're just like, no, I think it's fine. I don't know. We get that all the time, Kevin, that response all the time in doing reviews. People who think that it's the greatest game. I had two people come up to me when I was at RTX and they were like, why didn't you give The Last of Us 5 stars? And I was like, because I didn't think it deserved full 5 stars. Like, I think that it had some problems in the back half. But at the end of the day, it's an opinion, and I don't really feel the need to justify myself one way or the other. That being said, Randall, you're a fool. You need to play Mass Effect immediately. I don't know what your problem is. You fucking idiot. Just stop listening to this podcast. Turn it off and play Mass Effect. I'm just kidding. He doesn't. Play Mass Effect when you want to. I don't give a shit. Just don't let other people's opinions hype you up too much about something. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, Mass Effect is a great game, but you could totally wait on that. And the only thing about Breaking Bad that I would say is that somebody's going to end up spoiling it for you at some point. Because it's going to become it's so popular that there's just going to be, what do they call it, memes or something out there for it and stuff.
Memes?
Memes, and so it's just a TV show. I mean, just relax and. You're not proving anybody right by liking it or anything. In fact, you could still tell them you hate it and then secretly like it, and that would be the best way to get the last laugh.
Yeah, the other thing is, I mean, and, this is always nice as well, is, fuck, man, I wish that I was just getting into Breaking Bad right now. I mean, it's done. Like, it's all there. You don't have to wait for months for an episode to come out. You just sit down and watch all of it on Netflix except for the last few episodes. By the time you've gotten to that point, they're either going to be there, or somebody's going to have them DVR'd, or you buy the Blu-ray. I don't know. And so, I think that what Kevin is saying, I've definitely started going to. I saw way more movies this year than I have seen any other year, and it's because I hang out with a bunch of people who can't control their spoilers in their face. Yeah. They're like, oh, I'm just going to tell you this one thing. It's not a spoiler. You go, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yeah, and you got to also remember that people are. What they're really trying to do is they're trying to share their happiness with you. And they don't want to ruin it for you, so they want you to watch it so you can be happy too. And so, you got to take it that way. It's not like they're trying to get you to get hooked on crack or something, It's not like they're trying to get you to watch the worst show ever. It's not the Star Wars Christmas
They're
special.
not trying to get you to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a good show, and they just want to share it with you. So I mean, don't be so bitter, man. I mean, check it out. If you don't like it, cool. I mean, don't like it.
I've done that before to people who haven't seen The Wire. I'm one of those, by the way. I'm one of those people who's just like, have you seen The Wire? No. Oh my God, you have to watch The Wire. It's so good. But yeah, to be honest, I mean, Randy, don't listen to other people. I think you should totally watch Breaking Bad and play Mass Effect if you feel like it. If you don't feel like it, hey, go fuck, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, totally.
Also, have you been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Kevin?
Yeah, I like Joss Whedon. I like some of his dialogue and his ideas, but this isn't very good.
I watched. I haven't seen the third episode that came out this week. I watched the second episode and was like, you know what? Okay, listen. People online, I see people on Facebook, and they're all just like, "Oh, I love Agent Coulson so much," and I'm like, the straight-laced, boring dude. He collects baseball cards, and he's really monotone. Like, I'm not saying the guy is a bad actor. I'm just saying that his character was written to be like this really kind of monotone, straight-laced dude. I don't think he's a good focal point for the show, and I think that everybody around him are just walking cliches. Now.
Well, they're also just rip-offs of a lot of his previous characters. I mean, you've got this really tough, I don't know what, she's Asian girl who's just a playoff of the black girl in Firefly. And you've got this new girl who just joined who has a little secret, just like Preacher did in Firefly. You've got the nerdy guy who was like the nerdy guy on Dollhouse. He's just recycling the same characters over again. And sure, there's a couple of different elements to it, but I don't know, man. You got the whole Marvel universe, and so far, I mean, not really.
After the last episode, the third episode, there's a lot of people out there who are just like, "That's it, I'm done." What I'm probably going to do is just put that shit in the back burner and wait to hear what people say at the end of season 1 and wait for it to come on Netflix. And then if people are like, no, I really picked up in the back half of season 1, because you know what? There are plenty of shows that start out as total garbage, and by the end of the first season, they manage to find their footing and get going. And part of me goes, part of me thinks that like you shouldn't be required to give a TV show 10 bad episodes before an hour-long TV show, 10 bad episodes before it starts getting good. But I don't know. That's the world we live in. So
I definitely think that given the fact that it's, Joss Whedon produced, Disney, ABC, it's going to have a lot of celebrity crossover from all of the number of Marvel movies in production.
I will say that my favorite part so far has been the cameo at the end of the second episode.
Yeah,
that was awesome. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is from, this person doesn't want their name, so they're just going by Anon. So Anon says, Dear Rage Bros, hey, first time writing. I've been a fan since the old busted joint, but I'm loving the new hotness. Thank you very much. Okay, he has two questions, and the first one is actually this really detailed Metal Gear Solid 5 question, so I'm just going to answer that real fast instead of discussing the theory, as he said. Dude, I think that's entirely likely. Probably... I have theories, but I don't want to even... Kevin, you ever do this? I have my theories about what's going on in the plot of Metal Gear Solid 5. I don't even really want to think about them. Because if I think about them, I might figure something out. And if I figure something out, that might be spoiling stuff for me, and I want to be surprised. So, meh.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't never sit there and try and tell myself not to try to figure something out, but I certainly, definitely try and guess... plot elements, plot points. Yeah. Sure.
I don't know. It's just some of the theories that are out there. I already saw this YouTube video that kind of, I don't know, got the ball rolling in my head, and I kind of just want to be like,
I don't like to look at previews. I'm a strange bird when it comes to that. I don't like to watch movie previews. I just went and saw that Gravity movie. This is not a spoiler as far as I know.
It's in space.
I did not know. Well, I didn't know that she ends up being alone in space for, the movie. And it says that in the description, a lone woman in space. I didn't even read the description of the film.
I didn't even know what I was going to see. I went up with a blindfold on. I was like, one ticket for something, please. Don't show me what it is.
You laugh. I used to actually do that. I used to go to the movie theater and look at the posters and be like, I guess I'll see this one. I don't know what this is about at all. I've seen a bunch of movies that way. Some have been good. Some have been absolutely horrible. Yeah. But yeah, no, I try not to because it's just...
It's better to be surprised. To be surprised.
It is. Even the small things that they say, well, it doesn't really matter to the overall plot. I mean, there's a sense of... reveal that happens in all of those things that just makes it a lot more fun to be a part of.
Sorry, Anonymous, I'm in the middle of your question. Or I don't know, maybe this guy's name is actually something. But anyway, Metal Gear Solid 5, I'm going to go ahead and table that for now. And so his second was, or failing that mindfuck question, how does your new site's rating system translate to the old one I'm used to? Feel free to be as vague as possible in your answer to avoid any potential lawsuit. Thanks. And on PS, apologies. Blah, 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 blah. So
it's better.
It's the same. It's the exact same thing, everybody. It's the exact same thing.
But it's better.
But it's better because
it's on Rage.
It's right. Instead of having the thing is that we were always working. Just think about this both ways. It's always been a 5-star system, and we do half stars. That's basically the way that we do our ratings. So now. The top rating on the other side is the top rating here. Bottom rating is the bottom rating. Everything in between. The thing is that, we got into trouble previously because you start to get into a thing where you go, you can't give a $20 Xbox Live game a rental, it's better just to give it a, and the other thing is that, when you're assigning a dollar value or you're assigning a value based on how much a game costs, you say to some people $60 is a lot of money and they only buy 3 or 4 games a year, and to some people $60 is nothing and they buy zillion games a year. Some people don't buy games at all. They'll get them through GameFly or through whatever. So I kind of always have been, when we started this up, we talked about it briefly, and Jason and I both agreed that just 5 stars, man. Just, how good is it on a scale of 0 to 5? Or if you want to get into it, 0 to 10 with the halves or whatever.
Right.
That's...
It's just a standard. It's what everybody uses. It's how you get listed on Metacritic. It's a Metacritic. You got to have that whole average. The gaming industry sort of demands it. There's all these arguments about, maybe not having any ratings and just letting people read the reviews, but... The reality is that people do want some metrics in order to determine things, and so a rating scale makes the most.
You know what though? At the end of the day, the more I do this, the more I'm like, ratings are garbage. They're straight up garbage. I mean, number ratings, because invariably the only thing that number ratings ever do for you is you'll get some person who comes in and says, you gave this game 7 out of 10 when you gave this game 6.8 out of 10. So you're saying that Rayman Origins is better than Grand Theft Auto 5 or whatever, you know? And you get into this dumb argument when basically there's, I mean, you know, you would be an insane person within a year if you had to, every time you wanted to rate a game, try to put it in with all the rest of the ratings that you had ever done and be like, okay, well, all right, here's new Rayman. Is it better than Max Payne? Okay, it's better than Max Payne 3, but is it worse than Mass Effect? Okay, no, Mass Effect, it's better than, but okay, Assassin's Creed is, and then it's here, and so it's kind of as good as Assassin's Creed, even though it has not, you know, you would drive yourself into feats of mental destruction when you do that. I actually talked to Grant one time about having a binary rating system for Rage Select. Just, you know, yes or no.
Good or bad.
Yes or no. No, that's all. Not even as a, not even without anything. Just yes or no. Those are the two questions or the two answers. And we don't even have a question at the end of it. Be like, I give it yes. I give this one no. Like, just Siskel and Ebert style, man. Thumbs up, thumbs down. That's all it is. Like,
that's how I used to do it for the longest time. I had graphics for that. But, you know, even then you have problems because you end up with, like, games that you want to say are great, but then they're so niche, like Train Simulator or something, that you're like, I'm not really recommending this to all of you, just the group of people that like train simulators, you know? Yeah. And so you're right. There's no really good way to do it. But I think most gamers are knowledgeable enough to understand that and realize that, you know, what you're really saying is this is worth the money. This is not worth the money. I really think that's what it comes down to.
All right, we got a couple more here. Next one is from Patty O. Patty O says, Dear Jeff and Kevin, in the hypothetical future, girls will ruin their underoos at the thought of a dude finishing Ghouls and Ghosts or doing a 2-hour speed run on Super Metroid. Low blow, sorry, yeah. Well, you know, I know what I did. I said I could do it. I could do it. What would be your video game accomplishment you'd put on a hook to catch yourself a nice piece of bass? This guy is really... Patty, you're all over the place. Unfortunately, mine would be a 59-second game of solitaire. And since you're short on questions, here are a few gimmies. Oh, okay. So he's got some other questions in here. I'm not going to read all these. Pinky rings, yes or no, Kevin? What do you think?
No. I
don't wear any rings. It's when I get married, I'm going to just have them burn a circle on my finger so I can.
Pinky rings.
Thank you guys so much for continuing to put out amazing content that has made me laugh so hard I cried. All the best, Patio. So I don't know, Kevin, if you had to throw out a gaming accomplishment that you feel is impressive, what would you brag? What's your gaming brag? Game brag.
I don't think I got anything that stands up against the internet. You know, when I was young and there wasn't an internet, I had a really high score in Dig Dug. And I was like, boy, nobody's ever beaten my score in Dig Dug. But now that the internet is here, it's just destroyed any hope of ever being good at anything.
Yeah, nobody's good at anything anymore. Everybody sucks at everything because...
yeah.
Was it somebody on the website one time who I made a statement in something about Dark Souls, and they were like, oh, Jeff, you're such a noob at Dark Souls, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I'm not good at Dark Souls. I just like playing the video game. So high score, I mean, you ever have did you have the high score at the arcade or whatever? People weren't taking it away?
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah. And it was, I can't remember what it is anymore, but I was a kid. I was probably in the 12-year-old range, and I was just so proud of myself. I thought I was a video game wizard and great at it and everything. And I'm sure that somebody would eventually come along and just destroy it, but, that was my big selling point.
I used to be able to beat not the original Vector one, but the Star Wars arcade game that came out like in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was late 90s, late 90s, 98, 99. The one that had Empire and Jedi and Star Wars. I used to be able to beat that game with 1/4. I could put it in, play all the way to the end of the game with one life, no continues. And that was a pretty big accomplishment. I used to be able to, when I was in high school, I would go down to the local... when I was in high school and Mortal Kombat first came out, nobody could beat me in Mortal Kombat. I couldn't find anybody who could beat me or even really put up a challenge at Mortal Kombat. It was one of the only times in my life that I've ever been like, I'll walk into an arcade, put a quarter into a fighting game, and then just sit on that fighting game until it's time for me to leave, and I have to just give up the game because I could beat it with a quarter. I could beat anybody who came at me. Yeah. So I don't know. This is back when I had way more time to do such things. Now less so.
Yeah. I mean, we all thought we were good at Street Fighter 2 when it was out. I mean, I don't know.
I was never good at Street Fighter 2 when it came out. I wanted to be. I tried real hard.
Some sort of fighting game. And then it all just goes down. I mean, today I feel like I'm never going to amount to anything thanks to this.
Well, the problem now is that we're not competing with the other people, the other dirty, greasy denizens of the arcade. We're competing with, the leaderboards of the entire world. Yeah. The entire world. Like, I don't even bring those things up ever because it's just insulting. It's like, hey, guess what? You ranked 9 billionth in the world. You're like, oh, wonderful, I guess. You know what I do like?
There's less people on the planet than your rating. Yeah.
I like. Have you ever played one of those games where you have where what I do like though when it comes to leaderboards? Have you ever played one of those games where it has a rank based on your friends list? So it'll be like, here's you ranked with like the top 3 or 4 people that are specifically in your friends list, because then Jason will be playing a game and I'll be like, I'm gonna fucking beat Jason's score. Jason Murphy's not gonna have fucking high score in Castle Storm. You eat my balls, Jason. I will fucking.
As long as it stays close. I mean, the minute one of my friends gets some impossible score, then I'm just like, I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
Just forget it.
So
I don't want to give them the satisfaction of knowing they're better. That's when I play it cool and like, oh, I'm done with that.
Oh yeah.
Are you still playing that? No.
I've played a billion games since then. It's been 4 console generations since that game came out. Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah. I'm already playing Grand Theft Auto 12. It's fine. All right, we got one more question here, and this one is from Nick. Not that Nick. Nick says, I thought this was a fun question. Nick says, hey, Jeff and Kevin, my question is, if you were given a chance to make a big-budget AAA game, what kind of game would you like to create? P.S. I'm currently in college getting my degree in game design, and when I create a AAA title, I think I may need to have you guys play and review it and maybe put a rage select option for dialogue, which consists of just profanity and dick jokes. Thanks for reading this, and keep doing what you're doing. And that's from Nick. So I don't know. You're already making a game. I didn't anticipate that when I pulled this question, Kevin. But I don't know. If you had all the money in the world to make just fucking whatever game you want to, like you didn't have any producers breathing down your neck or anybody saying like, you have to make Call of Duty 16. I'm fucking. you just do whatever you want to. What would you do?
Well, I mean, I can't sit here and list off an entire video game idea, but I mean, I would certainly look for something that has really good writing and then try and make that into a game. I mean, would it be my writing or would it be somebody else's writing? I don't know, but I think that there's not enough games out there with very good story, and I think that I would like to get more story into gaming, because I think that not just makes the gaming better, but it allows people to experience stories, just like how books get turned into movies, and movies give you that whole new experience. It would be great to get that same sort of effect with video games, but good games, not just like how most movie tie-ins go and freaking disaster, So I think that there's just a lot of room for that. And I think there's a lot of room for books that, for budgetary reasons or whatever, never get turned into movies, but could very well make really interesting and great.
What would be? I mean, can you think of like something specific, like a specific story or book or something you've already seen that you would think you would like to turn into a game?
I'm different, man. I mean, everybody would think of an action film or a horror film or something, but I actually like to see video games turn more, into the sense of taking something that's a drama and starting to work it into a video game world that makes sense. It's still a game, but at the same time, it deals with, take a Catcher in the Rye or something. Obviously, that's not, you can't think of a game right now based around that, but at the same time, if you could, I think that you could build something completely unique and interesting. And I think that may be just a transition that you go to when it comes to turning games more into art and also just getting more respect. Because right now they're just trying too hard to appease to very basic emotions in the sense that you just want to shoot people or stab people or whatever. And, which is great fun, But I would just like to see a little bit more open-ended because I think when games do it right, I think when games cover adult themes well, or have really great stories like, say, Mass Effect, that's a perfect example, or BioShock, they turn out to be just not just fantastic games, but also really memorable. Because, the mechanics of BioShock, not any different than just about any other first-person shooter. If you look at that game Prey, right, you were like that Indian guy that had powers as well as weapons. Same thing as the BioShock games. And yet at the same time, the reason BioShock is so popular is just because it had a really great story. Yeah, no,
I definitely agree with the story. I don't know. I think I'm always been more interested in expanding to keep expanding the scope of game worlds. And in some cases, I almost feel like the way that you would do that would be by contracting the scope of the game world. Like, take Grand Theft Auto 5, for example. When you play Grand Theft Auto 5, you have this giant map, right? You have the downtown Los Santos, and then you've got, like, that downtown Los Santos is, like a quarter or a sixth of the entire map. You have this giant wilderness with other towns and other places or whatever. After playing Grand Theft Auto 5, I would almost be more interested in taking all of that extra power that was made to create that space and instead making a Grand Theft Auto game where you can go into every single fucking building. Like, you make Los Santos half the size that it is now, but make it so that you can literally go into every single building in the entire place. And not even just like a procedurally generated thing, but that there's like different stuff happening in different buildings. And I think that, like, we've got a really good handle right now on, like, crowd dynamics, especially in stuff like Grand Theft Auto, where you've got people walking around doing their own thing, or games like Skyrim where they have an economy or whatever that goes back and forth between different towns that you can disrupt and that you can interact with. And I think that right now we're doing that on a really rudimentary basis, but I'd love to see it start to get more and more sophisticated. I don't know. I like big game worlds. I like one of the things that I love a lot about the new console generation is just the amount of density that we've seen being put back into worlds. And I think that, look at original Grand Theft Auto, or look at GTA 3 on the PlayStation 2, and you look at a world that looks, at this point, just primitive as hell in comparison to what we've got now. And I can't wait to just see that get more and more sophisticated. Like, I'd be more willing to play a game that had, like, one block of buildings if there was a shit ton of shit going on in that block of buildings, as opposed to a whole universe of stuff that was just all empty and you couldn't do anything in. So, and I think that's our last question. So, I'm going on for a while now. Kevin,
a lot of emails.
Yeah. Do you want to? Would you like? Is there anything else you would like to tell the people about? You told them about.
Go to Kickstarter. Go to the retro. Do a search for retro. Check out the magazine. Back it if you're interested in it, and then classroom-graffiti.com for the game. I just keep pitching that stuff. I'm sorry. I don't want to make this.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's
fine. I'm excited about the projects I'm working on, and you know what? I tell people all the time about Rate Select.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Pay it forward, move it around. It's mentioned in my biography, I believe.
You told me about that. That's awesome. I still have to keep trying to decide whether or not we want to go on the full offensive of getting people to vote for us for the podcast awards. Can't decide if I want to do that or not. But hey, if you guys want to, go to the podcast awards and write us in there. You can vote once a day, every day. If you feel like we should be in there. I honestly think that we're still, kind of in early days growing, so I don't think we have much of a chance against, IGN, Giant Bomb, GameSpot, I don't even know if those guys have podcasts, but if they do, they probably already have thousands and thousands of more listeners than we do. So
the fix is in.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, video games is a hard nut to crack. But
I don't know if those things do any thing for you anyway.
Oh no, free trip to Las Vegas. That's all I care about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Free trip to Las Vegas and an open bar. That's what I really give a shit about.
Yeah. All right.
So another thing, hey, you guys, you should check it out. By the time this goes up, it'll probably be up there. We should have a new T-shirt this week. You can check out the T-shirt above. Yes, I believe this week is going to be the PSAT shirt from our Grand Theft Auto 5 playthrough with Brian Brushwood. As always, we cannot do this show without your questions, so please send them to mail@rageselect.com. That is mail@rageselect.com. I'm not going to give you guys the whole spiel because you probably already know it from the videos, but, you know, Facebook, Twitter, ad blockers, Amazon, YouTube, like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Buzzword, 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 buzzword. So, yeah. Now, Kevin, before we wrap up here, next time you come, I expect I need to get a working build of your game so that we can, you know, we can do a
I'll tell you what, next time I'm on, I'll tell you about the 2 new games that I'm actually in.
What?
You can get now, yeah.
Damn. You're gonna be this guy's Mario, man. Before he, it's
the Where's Waldo of video games.